So we know Trump is running. Are you on the mindset that DeSantis for sure is going to be running?
Nothing's for sure in this business, right? But it sure seems like he is, and I hope he does.
Do you think anybody else will run, or is there anybody you'd like to see run that's not running?
There'll be a small bunch of them, nowhere near like 16 when we had 17 candidates or something like that. But I think there's going to be 8 or 9 at least at the beginning. I think a couple of them are going to be just Chris Christie and Larry Hogan. I think the former governor of New Jersey, and the current governor of Maryland. I don't think they have a chance. You've got to be a real conservative, populist candidate to be successful in today's Republican Party. But I think there'll be a small smattering. The issue for Trump is if it's 1 or 2 who are conservative, populist, outsider candidates running against him, he could lose. If it's 3, 4, or 5, they split the vote and Trump wins.
Who's your dark horse? Meaning everyone's talking about Trump, DeSantis, even Mike Pence shows up, and you didn't give any validity to Hogan.
Pompeo's thinking about it. Nikki Haley is thinking about it. Wouldn't surprise me if there's some other governor who comes out of the woodwork who's kind of laying low now, who moves in later. But DeSantis is the flavor of the month, legitimately so. I think he's a great decision maker. I love the way he just confronts big things and makes fundamental decisions. I think his vulnerability, especially in Iowa and New Hampshire, is going to be he's not a retail politician. He's not an enjoyable, laughable, backslapping kind of pal. And in New Hampshire, that's really important. Iowa, to some extent, too.
Because those are the initial primaries and caucuses to hang in the Republican Party, right?
Correct. Those are the first 2. And as they say in New Hampshire, somebody asked, who are you supporting? And the resident of New Hampshire said, how should I know? I've only met the candidate 3 times. They take it seriously as retail politics there. And most candidates camp out.
When you say retail politics, the old, hey, shaking hands, kissing babies, hey, I'll have a beer with that guy, that whole thing.
Spending time in meetings in people's living rooms.
Yeah.
Not everything is a giant ballroom. Not everything is a rally. In New Hampshire, they want that local touch.
Yeah.
That's not DeSantis' strength. So, look, what I love about where we are today, and I'm open-minded on Donald Trump. There's a lot about Donald Trump I object to, especially in terms of his personality. There's a lot I admire about his policies. But my position personally and as a Fox News analyst is I like being a consumer. Make these guys compete. And then me as a consumer, I'll tell you what I'm going to do at the end of the day. I want to watch it, see how it plays out, and decide who's the strongest and who's the best. I think the issue for Donald Trump is he made himself too hot to handle. Has he just made everybody start to realize, people have realized it before but now say it publicly, that do we really need all these controversies? Do we need all the baggage that comes with what Donald Trump does and the way he does it? Yes, he was great on the economy. Yes, he was great on foreign policy. Yes, he was great for achieving peace in the Middle East. Yes, he was great for Israel. A lot of issues which are important to me. But the question is, has he made himself so hot to handle that none of that matters? Can you have somebody who's equally good as a decision maker, equally good on policy, who just doesn't go too far and can actually attract independents and Democrats? That's what I want to see play out in the primary.
So you're not sure yet. Do you think both of them have a chance of winning the whole thing? Like if Trump becomes a Republican nominee or DeSantis becomes a Republican nominee, do you think both of them have a chance of winning the whole thing?
At this early stage, I would say somebody other than Trump has a better shot at winning the whole thing, because Democrats and independents I see a very difficult road getting them to support Donald Trump. Right. And one of the biggest factors in the upcoming primary is going to be if all the polls start to show that, just say DeSantis is beating Biden, DeSantis is beating Harris by 5 points, and Trump is only beating them by 1. That is going to be a shocking message to Republican primary voters who say, I'm not taking a chance. I do not want somebody who could lose this thing. So keep your eye on those head-to-head polls as they start to emerge in early 2023.
You still trust polls? Yeah, you just said a month ago 238 seats, and we're going to win Senate, and we're going to have the House, and it's going to be a red wave. And first of all, you ain't the only one. I think 99% of people, everybody got it wrong on what it was.
Wrong.
You think it was really the Roe v. Wade that was the biggest driver? What do you think was the biggest driver last minute?
2. One is the reason that a party gets its clock cleaned in its first midterm election is a referendum on the current president.
Right.
In 2022, it was a referendum on Joe Trump. It was a referendum on 2 presidents. If it had only been a referendum on Joe Biden, Republicans would have had the 25, 30 seats in the House and have control of the Senate. But Donald Trump never left the stage. He still hovered. So independent voters especially, instead of breaking overwhelmingly against Joe Biden, they went split right down the middle. Democrats carried him by 2 percentage points.
Yeah.
That was the biggest factor of all. Then Roe v. Wade did play a role into it as well. That helped motivate a lot of Democrat turnout.
Don't you think the whole we got to save democracy, these election deniers, like we had like that? Don't you think that was also a major factor?
But that ties into the whole Trump staying on the field. That was a factor that motivated high Democrat turnout, and the turnout in the midterm was quite high. Typically, there's a massive drop off between a presidential year and a midterm. This drop off was not near as high or as much as a historical dropout.
But isn't that all because since 2016, every election has been record turnout because whether you like him or not, Trump made you pay attention to politics.
Yes.
You know, Obama, whether you liked him or not, like, yeah, okay, cool guy, whatever. He didn't it wasn't must-see TV. Trump, must-see TV.
He's a big Trump guy. I don't know if you know that or not.
Massive. But what I will give him credit for is, he woke a lot of people up. Whether you like him or, don't like him, support him or do not support him, this record turnout is all due to him for the last 8 years, right?
I agree. Oh, I agree. I mean, 16 broke all the records, and then 20 broke all the records.
And now 22 for midterms. What do you think?
18 had a higher turnout than 22.
Okay.
But that was the first year of Trump.
That was Trump.
First midterm.
Well, he got crushed.
So it's about
the midterms.
And this is why this whole notion our democracy is in trouble. Our democracy is friggin' thriving. That's why people are turning out so much. Whether you love Trump or you hate Trump, our democracy functions. It works.
Yeah.
I could make the case that there's a reason for low turnouts because people are happy. When things are good and calm, you don't have to turn out. All of a sudden, people see a threat to America, Donald Trump, or I love Donald Trump. So we have massive turnout. That's a healthy, thriving democracy. And what settled it? The will of the people. That's what makes a democracy work.
So with all the craziness taking place, I believe future looks bright. If you believe future looks bright, get your latest Future Looks Bright hat of Valuetainment. It says Future Looks Bright here, Future Looks Bright here. We got them in white, we got them in black, we got them in red. Our black on black sold out. These are about to sell out. If you haven't ordered one yet, we had a person in Michigan, bought one, then he bought 3. Then when those 3 people weren't in the office, they had to order 58 of them because people wanted the Future Looks Bright hat, especially during times like this, because ain't nobody saying Future Looks Bright. To order your Future Looks Bright hat, click over here. And to watch the entire podcast, click here. Take care, everybody.